It brings us to the ultimate we'll see for this upcoming season. The team that finished not only first in the NHL last season, but with the greatest regular season record of all time of 65 wins and 135 points. Only to lose in the first round of the playoffs to the Florida Panthers and subsequently have to move on from Taylor Hall, from Nick Foligno, who both end up in Chicago. Sorry, my body's rejecting this. And who also see the departures of one Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci. So this team. Let's talk about this really quickly. The top line is still slated to feature Brad Marchand and David Pastrnak.
That's really good.
Unless they were to break them up and have it as a split, but you still have Brad Marchand, the new captain of the team, and David Pastrnak. Currently expected to be centered by Pavel Zacha, who is coming off a career best season of 51 points in 82 games. 57 points, excuse me, in 82 games. The second line, James Van Riemsdyk,
okay,
Charlie Coyle, and Jake DeBrusk. I get the reference. We'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Third line, Trent Frederick, Morgan Geeky, and friend of the show, AJ Greer. A new father, AJ Greer. Congratulations. Somewhat recently. And a fourth line of Milan Lucic and potentially former first-round pick John Beecher and Jakub Lauko.
This is honestly the steepest roster fall-off I've seen in recent memory, like just on paper. And I'm sorry to laugh, but it is kind of funny.
This is what happens when you go for it.
I have 2 words. Playoff team.
Now, is he sarcastic or
no? Dead serious. Huh. I'm gonna tell you why.
Well, they're a good playoff team, but they have to make it. I don't know if they will.
I'm gonna tell you why. Tougie's a Patriots fan. I'm a Patriots fan. Throughout the NFL season, the seasons I've watched, where Brady started to look washed and everything, all this stuff, the one thing I was always told is never bet against Brady, which served pretty well. Look at how greatest quarterback of all time, greatest football player of all time.
Damn right.
The amount of times we think this in the Boston Bruins, we're like they're dead. We defeated it, and they rear their head out and pull off some witchcraft, voodoo magic, and just shock everyone. I can't. As much as I look at this roster and I'm like they're not a playoff team, I just can't because I know they're gonna figure out a way and they're gonna pull off some crazy crap and make it somehow. Tell me that's not how the Bruins have been in the last 5 years. There's been that.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there, and then I'm gonna speak from my experience as a Sharks fan, where we went through something similar. Where there's this period of time where like, oh, you guys are done now. Missed the playoffs in 2015. We come back, we make the Cup Finals in 2016. Okay, you're gonna be done pretty soon after that. Thornton and Marleau are too old. We make the Conference Finals in 2019, and you get that feeling of like, okay, we're gonna keep going, but then all of a sudden, too much is lost. It's too much. We lost Thornton. We lost Marleau. Other guys start declining. I think for Boston, this may be the too much part. It may just be too much that they have to replace. 2 centers.
Yep.
2 centers. Your top 6 centers are gone. Taylor Hall, who hit or miss in the playoffs, but he's great. He's a skilled-ass player. That's another top 6 player. That's half of your top 6 gone. That's tough. That's so tough. Now you're going to see, okay, is Zacha that good? Or did he benefit from favorable matchups because the rest of the team was so good? There's a lot on the table. I know it's a we'll see. I could see them making the playoffs. I think if they make the playoffs, that's a good playoff team. They're going to fuck you up. Mm-hmm. But they have to make the playoffs first, and the regular season's going to be tough on them.
And I agree with everything you said. But I've had too much PTSD of saying this team is done and this team rears its head back And I do agree with you saying like there is that time eventually, but it's like remember when everyone was saying Brady was washed that one season where he missed the first 4 games because he was suspended, and then all of a sudden he just pulls out another Super Bowl out of his hat.
Mm.
I think that was last year until the playoffs started. No offense, Tougie, but like I'm also just like I can't like I'm scared to say they're gonna miss the playoffs because I've said it so many times and they still make it. So again, title of the episode. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Boston Bruins just need a system QB. Got him.
Tom Brady, first line center.
Honestly, let's try it. I will say, like, the key for them is hopefully the defensive structure and the head coaching. This is a team that should be able to compete on a nightly basis due to structure and effort. It is a team built upon that with some high-end skills sprinkled in the form of David Pasternak.
Yeah.
But that defense is still Grizzlick McAvoy, Lindholm, Carlo, Forbert, and Shattenkirk at the moments. With Allmark and Swayman in goal. I agree with Sin in that, obviously, they're not hitting 65 fucking wins. No one's ever hitting 65 wins again. Yeah, let's see if that comes back to haunt me. It's one of those things where I do think genuinely it's either, yep, they're going to be really tough to beat, defensively sound, physical, especially once you get to the playoffs, or it's going to be, it just doesn't work. And you're losing games 2-1, 3-1 because you can't get goals on the board. And episode title being what it is, I'm not doom and gloom about this season, but if you were to tell me that the Bruins missed the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised because you are banking on guys like 34-year-old JVR to stay healthy and to contribute. You're banking on Morgan Geekie to still prove that he in fact can keep up on that upward trajectory and be a 30-point third-line center. You're banking on Milan Lucic still being a contributor, which in fairness, Lucic had 19 points in 17 games last year. If he can replicate that on the fourth line, you're feeling pretty good about it. It's not too bad. And then the younger guys like the Beechers and the Laukos who are trying to break through. Danton Heinen might very well be in the mix on the team as well. So all of this means that the Boston Bruins will somehow have the best offense in the NHL. Because
That's exactly.
I will say I loved Montgomery. Right? Who the fuck was your new coach? Was it Montgomery?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I loved his offensive strategy. I texted Tougie multiple times when I was catching a Bruins game. I'm like, dude, their offensive strategy is insane. Like, it's absolutely sick. They look like they're on a freaking power play. They're doing the umbrella and shit, and they still got the Bruins tenacity on every single puck. But yeah, I think they could be really good. But yeah, you also need individual skill to pull that off too. And it's a big we'll see.
Yeah. 2023 trade deadline, Tyler Bertuzzi. 2022, I'm trying to think, was there a big acquisition in 2022, Tougie?
Wasn't that Hall?
That was Taylor Hall at that point, right?
2021, was there a big one too?
No, that was the Leafs.
I can go to that Bruins trade.
So I see Hall in 2021. 2022 looked like Lindholm.
Yes.
And then 2023 was Tyler Bertuzzi. So as much as I think this team is dead, all of a sudden in January 2023, they're going to go out and get Trevor Zegras or some star top 6 forward, and he's going to play on the first line, and this team's going to make the goddamn playoffs. I hope I'm wrong. That's 3 years in a row they've gotten a stud at the trade deadline. They're going to get like, I don't know, like they're going to get Dubois. I know he just signed an 8-year contract. I don't care. They'll find a way. I don't know, man.
I kept on offering up Tomas Hertl to the Bruins, but they didn't want to give me Swayman and a few firsts. So
yeah. By the way, I'll throw it back to this 2018. Do you remember who the Bruins' big trade deadline acquisition was?
Can you give us a hint?
He came over from the New York Rangers.
Yager. Just kidding.
Or-
I don't even know. Nash. It was Nash.
Nash. Yeah.
Rick Nash.
Was it a jackal? It's a jackal.
So fair point, fair play about their tendency to go for it. But like Sin mentioned, eventually the time runs out, and that's the question: has that last kind of grain, those last couple of grains of the hourglass were circling the second Bergeron and Krejci announced their retirements? Now it's, did they fall, or is there still that little bit of life to hold on while you sprint to get more sand? That's the big question, and the best analogy that I can come up with after nearly 2 hours.
You know who has a logjam at center? The Los Angeles Kings.
But who?
I'm not the Bruins fan. I'm just throwing stuff at the end to make it spicy. I don't know. I just looked at the Kings. I was like,
I would say Byfield, because he's number one. Seems like a Bruins player. Number two has been pretty shit so far.
Number one center for the Boston Bruins, Philip Danault.
Hey, oh god!
From one French Canadian king to another, give me Philip Danault. And that's how bad you know things are. And I'm like, please, Philip Danault, top line center. But he's defensively responsible. He's handsome, and he was born 1 year to the day before I was. We share a birthday, February 24th. So
why
Philip
do I feel
Danault,
like he'd put up 82 points with Pastrnak and Marchand on his wing? That would be terrifying. Oh my god.
Philip Danault, 70, 80 point guy with Selke caliber defense, French Canadian. we're willing this into existence.
I don't know why I'm willing it into existence. I'm a Montreal fan. I should be willing the opposite.
He only makes $5.5 million for this year and 3 after. He gets a 10-team no trade list at the end of this year, so now's the perfect time to trade him before that no trade kicks in.
And guess what? Guess what LA needs? A goalie.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Why am I not
sir.
a GM? Someone hire me, please. Look at this. I'm making trades happen.
Sir, Phoenix Copley and Cam Talbot. They're fine.
That reminds me of that raccoon over the trash can. Like, hey, don't make fun of my garbage. No offense to Phoenix Copley or Cam Talbot, but like,
the episode title is either going to be Will See or Meme Machine at this point. I'm not sure which.
Or don't make fun of my garbage. I like that.
You know,
honestly, that should be it.
I think that's it. I think Sin wins out right at the very end. Gentlemen, this has been a fun one, to say the least. You know, for those on the video side of things, we'll allude towards it now. Endo had to go play hockey, so we let him go. It was fine. Of course, you can find Endo on the Twitter and Twitch side of things at Endurance, not Endurance, but Endurance M. He streamed earlier today. Like I said, that soundtrack breakdown, which I was tempted to make a video about that, but at the same time, music is so subjective. Like, even if it's a song I don't like, I'll never say it's trash. Like, there was that song a couple years ago, Ceiling Fan. I don't know if you guys remember that, which was
the first thing I do is I turn off the soundtrack because I don't want to have to worry about turning it on and off when I make content, and I don't care enough. If I'm going to listen to music, I'm going to listen to my music.
Yeah, exactly. So it is it is a factor at this stage of just like, hey, the streaming world and how that affects the soundtrack. But like I said, I'll never be like, that song's shit. It's like, I don't like that song, and that's okay. But clearly it's for someone else. So I can't care about soundtracks that much. I'll rip you to shreds about bad ratings, and you can check out those videos on the YouTube side of things. But Rahil, now is the stage is yours, the floor is yours, everything that you have going on, my friend.
Oh man, I just appreciate you guys having me on again. This is one of my favorite podcasts to come on, just because it's just 2 hours of just chatting, shooting the shit, doing voice impressions of Mike Babcock and everyone else. That was something special. No, but appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me and letting me join you guys. Excited for NHL 24. Can't announce stuff yet, but I think you'll be seeing a lot more of me on 24. And I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it's a good game for all of us. Hopefully we all can tolerate it till 25 comes out and not give up by December. But we'll find out, guys.
So with that, again, thank you all very much for joining us. We will be back next week with our last 2 division breakdowns before the start of the regular season. Obviously, we'll probably talk a lot about NHL 24 as well. And it is worth noting our guests for our next podcast, Monday the 2nd, we will be breaking down the Central Division with the one and the only, the illustrious, you knew it had to be, Deke Slayer returns to the podcast. It had to be. We'll talk all about his Arizona Coyotes and every other team, including some guy in Chicago who's apparently really good. We'll get to that. But for now, thank you all very much for joining us. We will see you next week. Until then, have a good one. Take it easy and be good people. I'm going to steal Dead Meat James's sign off because it's a good sign off. Watch that channel, by the way, even if you don't like horror. And watch Sin's channel and everyone's channel. Support people, except shit people. I'm going to cut this off well before I got to this point of this tangent.